Oh, I love that.
Time to get back to work. Welcome everybody, and very sorry about that. Had some lovely bandwidth issues here, but we are back. We are in town, and how about it? We are over the halfway mark of this year's 30-day challenge, and well done. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We've got so much to go through with this show, so apologies for being late. And for those of you asking, yes, I have hit record. Thank you very much for that. And for those of you who are doubting Arsenal's omnipotence this season, well, 6-1. That's all I've got to say about that. Welcome to all our very late night UKers. Okay, let's get cracking. We've got a couple of really big issues, some launches, some really cool stuff to cover in the show today. So the first thing I want to get set up here, is I'll just have that ready to go. First thing I want to do is cover, there was a really cool part in the thread today, I noticed in the bullet, and it was a post entitled, "I Hate Market Samurai." Now, it was sort of in jest because, of course, what they were saying is, I hate how Market Samurai shows us a billion niches and then shows us none which are competitive. Now, that's not true. There's thousands of you out there who've already found a niche to go forward with. So I wanted to talk about this and talk about what you're looking for. There are two things that immediately strikes me when I read or see something like that. The first thing I want to talk to you about competition is this, and you've heard me say it before, but it's worth repeating. With any sort of competition, if the first person to be in that market was if that precluded any other competition in a market, well, there'd be one real estate agent in your town, there'd be one car dealer, there'd only be one bar, there'd only be one of everything, because there would be no chance for anybody else to do business. Now, that obviously doesn't work. It doesn't work in the real world. I went, and there's no truth in the rumor that I've been driving my new Prius for the last 72 hours straight. You'd think that, governed by some of the emails that have been going out. And yes, it is true. I did try to do the broadcast from the Prius, but it didn't quite work. But facts are, when I went to pick up the Prius, was there just one car dealer there? No. It's actually in I think they call it the Autobahn or something, which would play on the word Autobahn. And I think there's 8 car dealers all there together. They're there because it's all part of the same traffic and they're in competition with each other, but they realise that they're going to attract more traffic. So I think the first thing to realise about competition, doesn't matter whether you are the first into a market. In fact, we don't like you being first into a market. That's usually not a good thing. But do not worry that there are plenty of other people in that marketplace. It's just not an issue. It is just not an issue because, we're bringing you and giving you tools in which you're going to be able to get traffic in that marketplace. And then it's up to us listening to the marketplace, which is very much what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, for them to tell us what they want. And this is the really huge differentiator between what we do in the 30-day challenge and sadly what a lot of other people do first, which is start off with the product. Imagine, if you will, and this is the way I like to look at Market Samurai. I like to look at Market Samurai as giving me many more hours of my life back. Because how many people have suffered in rooms writing a book, creating a product, recording a whole series of things, only to discover that there is no market there to buy their stuff. That's a tragedy to me. So every time you come up with a sub-niche, a little micro niche, which doesn't come up to scratch, you should rejoice because they just saved you an incredible amount of time. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. The second thing, inevitably when I go in and I look at these sorts of issues, pardon me, sorry. The second thing is inevitably people don't narrow down enough. They don't go down into a micro niche. To use the saxophone example that that Dr. Anthony Fernando used way back in day 2 and 3, people stay at the saxophone level, they don't go down into tenor sax or alto sax or baritone sax. They go into, thank goodness I'm not a New Zealander, they go down basically just to that market level, not into the micro niche level. They go into the niche level of saxophone and they don't go down long enough. And for me, this is the number one thing. And usually the reason for that, there are two. One is knowledge. They don't know the market well enough to know that there are micro niches. And this is where you really have to trust Samurai. And you really need to go through days 3 and 4 because it's going to give you the micro niches. You just have to have your eyes wide open to see them. Because to use the good old underwater kickboxing analogy, there may be a form of underwater kickboxing, being that massive market that it is. There might be a form of underwater kickboxing called snorkeling underwater kickboxing, which is practiced using snorkels as opposed to just holding your breath like the hardcore people do it. And that may be your way into the market. Because if we blow back to 20,000 feet now and ask, why are we doing all this? Why are we doing all this stuff in the 30-day challenge? You've got to remember that the way to tackle a big market, is to creep up on it, is to sneak up on it and chip away a little bit at a time. And if you look at it, the most successful $100,000 a month marketers did exactly that same thing. They little chip, and they got bigger, they got more resources, they got sales. They could do what we're going to show you all this week to hyper accelerate what they were doing because they tackled it from that little clever sneaking up on them. The smartest marketers do that. Just because you're getting this for free, don't think for a second that this is not the exact methodology that people who are trying to make $100,000 a month use. They have to apply it this way, because otherwise, if you want to try a full frontal assault on underwater kickboxing and it's a massive niche, or weight training, or dieting, or any of those sort of mega markets, you're going to fall flat on your face. Even with the largest resources, you're just going to spray a whole bunch of money up against the wall and get nowhere. This is the smart way to do it, regardless of where you happen to be. Now, again, looking at that from that market side of things, so don't be afraid of just chipping off small bits. But this allows me to segue neatly into my next big issue of the week, because we did a lot of writing this week, right? We did a lot of writing, and we did a lot of little articles. Now, I've got a couple of comments about that. Ask yourself, why are we doing these articles? It's always important to come back to first principles. We're putting out, every time we put out an article, it's like throwing another fishing line out. So if you've got one article out there, you've got one fishing line with one hook with one little piece of bait, and you've got whatever percentage chance of catching a fish, or, to really continue the analogy, traffic. So if you've got one line, one hook, one piece of bait, you'll catch a fish, and you've got the probability or the chance of catching a fish. But what happens if you've got 10 hooks out there with 10 lines? What if you've got 100 hooks with 100 lines? Physics and the laws of mathematical probability tell you you're going to have much better chance of catching a fish, or indeed what we're trying to do here is catch traffic. Do you think internet marketers spend their whole day writing articles? Because after last week, you might think to yourself, that's what they do. No. There's a couple of things. They only write enough articles to get the traffic that they need to test for the niche. What are we looking at? In fact, you don't know this because it's coming today, tomorrow in day 17, is that we're really looking for those 100 unique visitors. Because when we start to get 100 unique visitors to a site, we can start to test. We can start to make some judgments. Until then, we haven't got enough data. We just don't have enough data. So we want to do enough articles until we've got a steady stream of traffic. And that first goal is to get 100 unique visitors to your main site. Because, hey, forget making your dollar at the moment. We've got another 2 weeks to do that. Plenty of time. By the way, huge congratulations to the people who've already made $1. That's unreal. I understand that we've got our first couple, and we'll be sure to acknowledge them on the blog. We sent you an email about, if you have made $1, how to make sure you're included on the Hall of Fame, which is brilliant. But before we can make our $1, we need to get traffic, okay? And we need to test, because we're testing marketplaces at the moment. And all of this week, we're going to show you, after I talk about day 17, we're going to show you a way to completely ramp up and show you how all this work that you've done has set the scene, has paved the way for you to use other traffic methods, which will be able to sort of increase your results. You don't write articles all the time. Now, most people tend to outsource their article writing, and it costs, they pay anywhere from $4 to $7 an article to have an article written by somebody who'll do a good job with it. People outsource. Now, that's obviously outside the scope of the 30-day challenge. Plus, it's good for you to learn to write, because remember, if you're not teaching, if you're not writing, remember that first law of the 7 habits of highly effective people. The best way to learn about a market is to teach it. The corollary to that in 30-day challenge world is, of course, your ability to be able to make little articles will force you to learn that as quickly as humanly possible. Because that's the other thing we've got to do here. During the week, I talked about, and the previous show, I talked about that whole fueling situation. Some of you will be out of fuel, out of gas for writing articles. Your brain works exactly like a gas tank. If you've got a lot of knowledge, you can write very easily on something. If you haven't got any knowledge, you'll find it an incredible struggle to write something. You need to fill the gas tank. And that is where day 15, probably when people look back on the 30-day challenge, they'll realize that day 15 was the most profound day of the challenge, because that right there is the secret to success. That leverage that you get out of learning about a market, then writing about it, and then using Posterus or using the direct functions of Google Reader, which of course only arrived last week. Thanks, Google. Didn't you know we had a 30-day challenge coming? Had to call a big audible on that. That is profound, because think of all the leverage that you're getting out of this one sort of physical activity. You're getting knowledge. You're seeing what's happening in the world of crochet, what's happening in the world of underwater kickboxing. You're taking an article using Posterus. And, oh, by the way, newsflash, Google Reader have added, get this, direct Posterus updates inside of Google Reader. And the implementation is beautiful. It'll allow you to take the article. It'll allow you to pick the excerpt. Google and Posterus goes through and chooses, so you can pick an excerpt, and then you can add your comments. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, article on your main blog in something like 2.5 minutes. Plus, you've educated yourself on the topic because you've forced your brain to pay attention. You've got that leverage. You can tweet, more leverage. It's the most extraordinary thing. If you get day 15, and I was very gratified to see some people that I really respect realize how vital day 15 was, because it really was the answer to so many of people's questions. Because the number one issue will be niche knowledge. You have to develop market understanding. And this is the thing I want to emphasize, which will allow me to segue into my next segment, very important segment. But for a start, please, that day 15 is super, super, super crucial. Okay, it's really, really important. Now, speaking of really important things, Pete Williams has an update for us on how we've been doing with Kiva. So I want to go to the tape.
G'day guys, Pete Williams here. And as today is a rest day, I want to take the time to focus on something that's not directly going to help you get traffic or build your niche business, but something where karma will come into effect and no doubt help you out. And that's giving you an update on our Kiva account and our Kiva situation. For those of you who didn't see the pre-season video, Kiva is an organisation that we team up with every year to support. They help match lenders with entrepreneurs in generally third world countries who are trying to get a various business off the ground. For more information, make sure to check out the pre-season video that I did talking about Kiva and the ins and outs of how that all works. But I want to focus today on our actual Kiva account, where we're at, how much money we've raised, what we've done with it, and the impact it's actually had. So let's jump in and have a look. So our loan statistics. This is a bit of an overview of the money that we've already lent out to various entrepreneurs around the world. The total amount we've lent to date is $15,675 US, which has been a phenomenal amount of money, and I thank you all for helping out and contributing. On the right hand side here, you'll see that the average Kiva user donates $159. Now obviously most Kiva users are individuals, whereas we've got the tens and thousands of you who have helped out and supported over the years to bring up that pool of money. Now the total money that's actually already been repaid is just over $9,500, which means we can then take that money and re-lend it again and again and again. So it's basically a never-ending loan cycle, which is just fantastic. We haven't had a single dollar lost. That's in currency loss, people not paying back their loans, defaulting, things like that, which is just phenomenal. Our delinquency rate is 2.47%, which is just half of the average Kiva user, which is just fantastic. What the delinquency rate actually means is people who are in arrears with their payments. So this is people who are currently a month or two behind in making their monthly repayment on their loan. The default rate for all our loans is absolutely 0%, which is just amazing. The average default rate for Kiva is 1.39%. We're at 0%, so we haven't had a single person default on their loan and walk away, which is amazing, and just a karma thing there too, I'm sure. Now the very exciting thing is that we have an additional $6,343.60 sitting in our donation pool, which I've just transferred from PayPal into Kiva. So that total amount lent will jump up over $22,000 very, very shortly. So I'm going to do a video about going through the process of actually lending the money. That you can look over my shoulder and see how we go about that. So that gives our grand total to be close to $22,000, which is just an incredible amount of money. So thank you all, and there's other continue to give and things like that. In terms of our loan history, I just wanted to break it down for you a little bit more as well. That $15,000 that have already been lent out has been broken down into 409 separate loans. Now of those 409, 24 of them are still in their fundraising stage. How Kiva works is that they allow multiple people to fund an individual loan. So rather than us funding one particular loan in its entirety, we fund parts of various loans. So these 24 are still waiting for the remaining funders or lenders to come along and help them out. There's 6 people who have had their total funds raised but haven't started repaying yet, so obviously in the process of getting the money transferred across and getting their business set up before they can start making repayments. There's been 262 people who are currently in the process of paying back their loan, which can take anywhere from about 3 months to 3 years. And we've had 117 loans fully repaid, which has been fantastic. So then we then take that funds and we loan it out again and continue the cycle. So just to give you all a refresh reminder of how you can get involved, there's 4 main ways that we'd love you to help out our Kiva support. The first is our annual 30-day challenge auction, which is coming up in a few days. We'll release all the details at the end of the week, but over the next 3 or 4 days, keep an eye out on the 30-day challenge blog, because Ed and I have recorded a few videos giving you some ideas and overviews of the various items that are going to be available this year. There's some absolute killers, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. The 30-day challenge store is always open, where you can grab t-shirts, hats, notebooks, even a Flip Mino video recorder. So all branded with the very, very cool "There is no charge for awesomeness" 30-day challenge store logo, so make sure you get involved in that. All the proceeds go directly to our Kiva account. You can give direct donations to our 30-day challenge account. Here's a link not only to the store but also to the direct donations via PayPal, where you can simply just give $1, give $20, give $200, whatever you feel you'd like to give directly to our account, and we'll go ahead and loan that on. Or something very new, which I'm so excited about, is the new 30-day challenge Kiva team. Now this is different to a Kiva account. What a Kiva team is a group of Kiva account holders that team up together for the same purpose. So this morning I've created our 30-day challenge Kiva team. So for those of you who already have a Kiva account or want to join Kiva, really encourage you to actually join through our team. That way all the money that you loan will go through the 30-day challenge team, not through the account but through the team. So you still have control of where your money goes from your account, which loans and which entrepreneurs receive it, but it's all pulled together from a 30-day challenge team perspective. So this is the Kiva team page. Let me run you through this and then I'll show you how to join up. Now, given that I only actually opened this team this morning, there's only currently one team member, and that is the 30-day challenge account itself. The number of loans this team has actually given is 8. I've done 8 new loans this morning. It doesn't show the historic lending or loans we've done, just all the ones that have been done and will be done as the 30-day challenge team progresses. And the total amount loaned so far this morning has been $275. You've got the latest activity down here, which will show all the different loans that the various members give out from a recent perspective. You can jump into the loans section at the top of the screen that shows you the exact loans that we've lended to as a team, and all the team members, which is, again, is just simply the 30-day challenge itself. So to join the 30-day challenge team, all you need to do is hit the big join now button. Pretty obvious. If you're already a Kiva account holder but not a member of a team, all you need to do is just sign into your Kiva account using your normal email address and password, and it'll link your Kiva account to our team. So moving forward, we'll move forward together. If you haven't already got a Kiva account but want to support Kiva and support the 30-day challenge, Kiva's support, and I can't even think of the word right now, rather than donating directly to us, you can donate directly to Kiva and have a lot more control. Simply put in your name, email address, all the details here and sign up, and you can loan directly to Kiva and then have choice of where the money goes but still be a member of the 30-day challenge team. So that's Kiva. That's how we support. This is how we have and allow Karma to support your niche business. Hope you're enjoying everything so far. There's some really killer stuff to come. Keep going, keep moving through, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks very much, Pete, for that. Isn't that exciting? The amount of money and the way that it keeps getting reinvested. So as we build it, it just keeps growing and growing, and we can reuse it and reuse it. And I thought it was wonderful to get the statistics, so you guys can see, what you're doing and what you're donating to. And of course, we've got the auction coming up, and there are some choice items in the auction this year. Let me tell you. So. Great, thanks very much for that, Pete. And how about the team? So if you are in Kiva, make sure you join the 30-day challenge team as well, so we can really make a splash, which is fantastic. Now, on to my next point, and I wanted to continue on the theme of content. Now, the first thing that I saw, and again, there's only so much, and as you can tell, we are really... Oops, sorry, I've got the audio up a bit loud. Sorry about that. Sorry. As you can tell, we're really pushing the envelope in what people can handle inside of 30 days. But articles are just one of many, many, many different forms of media that all achieve the same effect. Photos work, videos, Ustream shows, Twitter, YouTube videos, recordings, podcasts, PowerPoint presentations, PDF documents. All of these are all part of your ability to communicate with your market. Now, of course, we just can't cover them all inside the 30-day challenge. And the article, bang for the buck, is going to give you your best efforts because, of course, search engines at the end of the day do work on text. Video would come a very close second. So for a lot of you, if writing is a real struggle, and then there are so many other options, and we tend to cover these in 30-Day Challenge Plus and stuff like that, but focus on the articles, but understand your life is not going to be about articles forever. It just doesn't work like that. You need to have enough to make sure you've got the hooks to get the traffic. Now, the other side of things is I noticed some people saying, there's just not that much to write about in this marketplace. Sorry, going to have to disagree with you there. Don't know if you've heard of a little game called Checkers, or depending if you're European, Drafts. Checkers and Drafts. The simplest game, one of the simplest games that you can play. There are reams of books on checker and draft strategy. Look at chess. There's an entire industry. The rules are the same, have been for the last 400 years. What can you write about? Well, people write about all sorts of variations of moves and all sorts of things in chess. Photography. At the end of the day, taking a photo is about getting the right exposure, and you have three elements. You have shutter speed, you have aperture, the amount of light that's being let in, and the sensitivity of the film with the ISO. That's it. Big deal. Big whoops, right? There are hundreds of books on getting the right exposure. Hundreds of information products about getting the right exposure. Nighttime photography, daylight photography, blah, 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 blah. Infrared photography, ultraviolet photography, macro photography. Yet, at the end of the day, it's recording light on some sort of film substrate. Yet, that fuels an industry. Never, ever. There is no, I guarantee you, there is not a niche. If underwater kickboxing existed, you would be able to continuously write about that. Table tennis is a game. You hit a ping pong, you hit it across a board. Big deal. Huge industry. There's always something to write about. Which leads me to the next part, which is, of course, what is boring to you is intensely fascinating to the new hobbyist. And let's get all commercial for a second, okay? Because we want to make some money here. Think about who spends money in a new hobby, say golf. Like a lot of people get the golf bug. Now, when you first start playing golf, do you go down to your local Barnes & Noble or your local Waterstones or Angus & Robinson, and you pursue the golf books, tutorial books that are available? You go online to look for a new ebook on the subject. You have a look at them, read through them, and you carefully select one. You take that book away with you, you go off to the golf driving range, and you spend the next 12 months implementing everything in that book. Is that how it works? No, of course it doesn't. You walk in, you're so pumped, you're loving golf, you're going to get into golf, you're going to get into bike riding. You walk in and you scrape the shelf and you grab like half a dozen books. You go to the magazine section and buy every magazine known to man on the subject, and you go to town. You're enthusiastic, you're reading and absorbing, and you're learning all that stuff. So stuff that seems jaded to somebody who's been in it for 20 years is fascinating and exciting to the new hobbyist. And let's face it, in a lot of markets, not all markets, but in a lot of markets, it's the new hobbyists that are spending the dollars, which of course we want to get some of that action. So that is a really big deal. So I don't care, the simplest of subjects, some of the, and the name has Mahjong. Simplest of games have literally reams and volumes. Sudoku, another one, very simple game. Yeah, there are, video tutorial membership systems, blah, 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 blah. People making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month providing strategy for a game which is the simplest thing. And how many times can you explain what you have to do inside that box? I really hope that you understand that there's that. We're going to go deep in these topics. Once we find, there's no point though going mega deep into a topic unless it's worth you spending the time in it, because you will spend time in it. Nothing worth doing is this whole concept of pressing a button and having the dollars flow in doesn't exist. Sorry about that. We're all about here at the 30 Day Challenge building you a sustainable business. And that's what it's all about. So that's very, very important. And that's what we want to try to do. Okay. Yes, stats. Speaking of stats, and I'm going to be talking to you guys a lot about statistics today. Day 17, I should say, to be absolutely exact. Now, please don't go nana on stats. I'm seeing people who are checking their rank tracker 7 times a day, and you might notice that the numbers don't change. You've got to give things time. You want to be checking your stats once a day, max once a day, because what you get is you get stats paralysis. Okay, it's another one of these diseases that people catch inside the 30 Day Challenge. Who knew how many potential diseases you could catch while doing the 30 Day Challenge? Stats paralysis. So what happens is that you sit there, you think, I've published my article, I'm waiting for it to go to number 1 now, and you can sit back. Come on, let's get to number 1. I've done it. No, that's not how it works. There are things inside your control and there are things that are outside your control. Ranking, where you rank, all those sorts of things. You have to trust that you've done the right job in research and all those sorts of things. You continuously do your linking, etc., and you have to let it go, because at the end of the day, Google is the one who decides your ranking, not you, out of your control. So sitting there, tapping on the desk, waiting for something to happen that's outside of your control is stupid and an extraordinary waste of energy. What should you be doing when that happens? Is doing stuff that is inside your control. Writing another article, for example. Creating one of those Web 2.0 properties. Work on your Facebook fan page a little bit. Stuff that's in your control. Or do day 15. If there's one activity that you can continuously be doing is day 15, where you are using Google Reader to provide you with all the feeds on a particular topic. So you're getting all this great information and you're reading it, you're learning, and you're actively looking, because you're actively looking for articles that you can publish and use as grist for your article writing mill. Really, really important for you guys to do that. So concentrate on the stuff that you can do. Don't obsess over the stats, because at this point in time, a difference in 40, if you didn't check your stats for 48 hours, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But once a day is more than enough. And you also won't freak out Market Samurai or anything else if you just do it once a day. So lay off the stats checking and get into the stuff that you can control. Just don't forget about stats, for goodness sake, because that's very, very important. You cannot manage what you don't measure. But there's no point measuring something every 3 seconds. What is it my grandmother used to say? What is it? The watched kettle never boil. What is it? The watched kettle always boils slowly, or something along that. The watched kettle always boils much more slowly. I'm sure there's a better interpretation of that, but you get the idea. Get on with the stuff that you can be getting on. Now, I have something pretty darn exciting to preview for you guys. And to do that, I want to ask Pete Williams back onto the show.
G'day guys, Pete Williams here, and I am very excited today because I get to announce the official 30 Day Challenge iPhone application. It's currently being approved by the Apple iTunes Store team, so it will be available to you all in the next couple of days. But I just want to take 2 or 3 minutes today to give you a bit of an overview of the application, show you around, and basically explain how you can do the entire 30 Day Challenge on your iPhone. So let's jump in and have a look. So this will be the little icon on your iPhone once you install it. Now, as a side note, how cool is this little pointer as a finger? I reckon it's very, very cool. So anyway, this is the homepage of the 30-day challenge iPhone application, and there's fundamentally 6 sections. We've got the blog, which we'll go into, the Twitter feeds, all the pre-season content, all the training content, the forum, which is still in development, so that'll be a couple of days away, and 30-day challenge plus, which will come and be made available after the challenge is complete. So let's just jump into the blog, and I'll show you around the application. So this is how the inside of the application looks. Oops, let me just cancel that. You've got the mini menu at the bottom here. You've got the actual content in the main section of the application, and you also have a exclusive tips section that is just full of tips that's only available on the iPhone application. So throughout here you can actually click through and get a bunch of different tips that are exclusive to the iPhone application to help you along your 30-day challenge journey. So inside the blog section, which is obviously where we're looking right now, we've got all the different posts from the last few days, and I can click into an individual day's blog post here. And now it shows you the contents of the blog post, obviously, so you can read it all on here. When on the train to work, or be it at your kids' soccer training or whatever it might be, you can still get and devour some of the content. Might be a little bit more productive for you as well. All the comments are available to read as they would be on the normal blog, and again, like the normal blog, as I scroll, bear with me, you have the ability to actually leave comments and all that sort of stuff too, so you can publish your own comments and just interact like you normally would on the actual website. And this will be the similar sort of functionality in the forum section once that's made available to you all. You can skip through to the next post in the series and work your way through. You've also got the ability to search the blog and all that sort of stuff as well. Excuse the little fingerprints that come with this. The finger actually leaves fingerprints, which is kind of cool, but a little frustrating. Down the bottom, again in the second tab in the menu, you have the Twitter feeds. So you've got the availability, if I can speak English this morning, to actually keep up to date with all the feeds from the 30-day challenge Twitter feed itself, which is 30DC, obviously Ed's posts, Dan's posts, and Guru Bob's posts as well. So you can keep up to date on the iPhone there as well. Pre-season gives you access, as you would expect, to all the pre-season training videos and content there, and then again you've also got access to the 30-day challenge training as it appears. So for example, let's go into today's training, which was traffic bug, and again the actual individual training pages are still getting their look and feel added to them, but that won't affect the functionality of the application. You've got the brief overview, as you normally do, inside the actual training page, and then you can click in and actually watch an individual video. It'll load up the video player inside the iPhone, and as the video loads, you'll be able to have the ability to sit there and again devour all the content at your leisure when it's more convenient for you.
Hi everybody, it's Guru Bob, and welcome to day 8 of the 30-day challenge. It's been over a week already, and you're still with us. Well done.
And again, if you actually turn the iPhone on the side, you get full landscape view of the video. That is basically the iPhone application. I hope you all are very excited. And those of you who do own an iPhone, I really encourage you to grab this when it's available, which should only be 2 or 3 days away. We're just waiting for Apple's approval. As I said, there'll be a bunch of tweets, forum posts, and obviously another blog post as well announcing when this is going to be available. So make sure you check it out, and we'll speak soon. Cheers.
How about that? Very cool. We're just waiting. It's gone through the approval process, and that will be available in the next couple of days. And of course, we will, of course, let you know in no uncertain terms when that arrives and you're able to download that. It will be a 99-cent download, and the reason that we're charging is, of course, that we are donating our portion of the proceeds to Kiva as part of that. So that's I think a cool thing as well for people who have the iPhone. Of course, the iPod Touch will also use it beautifully. I've got one there. It's fabulous, and it's a great way to have access. And we've got some really big plans for it. If people are familiar with iPhone applications, there's lots of opportunities to upgrade them. So we've got lots of plans for upgrading in the future, but best to get out something. So there we have it. So I'm very excited about that. All right. So with that, one more thing before we head off. If you are in Australia, and this will be news to the team, can't wait to just watch for Guru Bob about to have a panic attack about now. Okay, I'm timing it. Guru Bob, panic attack, approximately 30 seconds. On the 25th, 26th and 27th, I will be coming to a capital city near you in Australia. The last couple of challenges, I have toured the US and the UK, and my home country has bluntly gotten the shaft for many years. I've never spoken here. I've spoken in the UK, spoken in the US, but never in Australia. The last time was, I think, before the first challenge back in 2005. So, and yes, I'll turn that down. Sorry about that, folks. Bit of distortion. So I will be coming to Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne for all-day free seminars next week. Yes, next week. Now, that's where Rob has just had a panic attack. Don't worry, Rob, I'll explain everything. Trust me. Trust me. It'll be good. It will be very, very exciting. So I just wanted to let you guys know before we go into the question and answers. And if they work and if we get good attendances, we'll continue to do them in Oz, because there's a good 20% of people who do the 30-day challenge come from Australia. So it's a big crowd, and rather than do the US and the UK this year, I thought let's do one for the Aussies this time, because, as I say, so often I just don't speak in Australia ever. So one of the things I'll certainly be doing is the mass control presentation that I did in April in San Diego, and that was the one that got a huge standing ovation at Frank's event, and everybody was speaking at that event. So I was very proud of that, and I'll be doing that presentation in each of those cities, and we'll be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So just a little if you're in Australia and you're on the Eastern Seaboard, I'm coming to a capital city near you, believe it or not, next week. Rob's going to kill me. All right. With that, we're going to have a 5-minute break, and we are going to come back for the world-famous question and answer segment. So have fun, speak soon, stay around, and we'll do questions and answers. And I'll cue this up.
Yo, 2K9 TDC, everybody online, yeah, you and me. Can you feel the love? Can you feel it online? August rolls around, baby, time to shine. Big Bad Ed, yeah, he the man. The I Am King with a trusted plan. You got Rain Man 2 with his G and bling bling. And a gorgeous Carol, always doing a thing.
Looking for a better way to use my time. Searching for a better time to live my life.
Hoping for a better life.